Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Masters Chatter. And we are jam-packed today. We're trying to get Jen Dieter on to class the joint up, but we don't know if she's going to be here. And Tommy Marquez is going to be joining us. So, your screen probably looks like the Brady Bunch right now. So, we got Bob Jennings, we got Mike Kern, Justin LaSala. Kern and LaSala, you guys crushed it. It's currently in the top 3 right now in the 45 to 49-year-old age groups. Congratulations. Jeb Simmons, Steve Swiestak, and Clint Paddock, who is currently second. Steve, where are you sitting right now? And Jeb, where are you guys?
I did not do them this year. I've been in and out of the hospital about 8 times in the last year and a half, so I got some recovery to do yet.
Damn. All right. You probably worked out as much as I have.
Yeah.
I've gotten 2 workouts in, I think, in the last 2 weeks. So my fitness should be on the back of a milk carton right now. So.
And I had back surgery after the Legends Championship, so I blame Bob for that one. full responsibility.
All right, Jen Dieter's here.
Sorry, guys.
Now we can officially begin.
Sorry.
Jen is also in a semifinal qualifying spot. Let me check here. Jen, where are you at right now?
7th.
7th.
Yes.
That'll do.
Yeah.
All right, and now look, we got the full 9 box going on here. So this will be good. Tommy Marquez joining us. So here's the thing the first thing I wanted to start off with is kind of what we wanted to talk about today. And if we want any other subjects to be dealt with here, we can certainly do that. But the 2 things I really wanted to talk about was, first, what did you think about the programming? And then second, do you think it did its job, which I think is a longer thing to deal with. And I think the things are kind of mutually exclusive. You can not like the workouts, but still think that they did the job. And I think that there was more pressure on the programming here because of the drastic cuts that needed to be made. So they really couldn't leave any stone unturned. So I will just throw it out there. Bob, we can start with you because I know you have some thoughts on this. What did you just think about the workouts in and of themselves?
Look, I felt like the programming was a little bit lazy, quite honestly. I think I really have a hard time with using a max effort lift, whether it's any kind of max effort lift, especially one that doesn't require any high level of skill, to be used at this stage of the event, right? I think it rewards big dummies, right? And
yeah, what's the problem with big dummies?
Yeah, hey, look, I fully represent that remark. I completely understand it. It's been my path to the games, 3 times, right? But I don't think it's the right way to test strength, and I certainly don't think it's the right way to test strength at this stage in the game. I also, I really didn't like the 5th workout either. I felt like that workout might as well have just been 150 calories per time. It wasn't balanced at all. But to answer your other question, did it do the job? Yeah. The right 30 men and 30 women from every age group, more or less, are advancing on to the next round. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it did the job.
And everything's still unofficial now.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of reviews that need to take place. Mike, what about you? What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, to Bob's point, I mean, I'm not as harsh with the type of the lift, as Bob called it, big dummy lift. But I felt, the workout 5 was all about the row. And I felt workout 2, the big chipper, I was expecting more like the individuals one, where it's like we would have had at least 30 muscle ups, 3 rounds of 10 or something like that. I felt they watered that down so much, knowing that, I'm assuming maybe they're like, hey, we got another round of semis to really put the high skill stuff. Because 20 pistols, whether or not people did them right or not, was a throwaway. It wasn't enough. Even if you sucked at them, you got through them in there. And then 10 muscle ups wasn't enough, really. So I felt like the skill was a little down. Again, Bob said it was like a big dummy type lift. It wasn't a high skilled Olympic lift. 5th one was rowing. But at the end of the day, I think the people got through. It was some scary times, seeing some of the Friday night leaderboards. I think the names were lower than we wanted them to be. And we're like, oh shit, what's going on here? But
All right.
Overall, I liked it, but
Justin, we'll move on to you.
Yeah, I mean, I have a ton of opinions about it. I never really care about the workouts to begin with, you know? Like, I just do them. I know Bob is super passionate, and we're fortunate to hear him rant about the workouts on a daily basis, especially when we do the show, you know? But, I mean, the workouts are the workouts, and there's nothing you can really do about it except to do them, you know? But I do like that they at least gave you a fighting chance with the total instead of just one, instead of just making it a deadlift or making it a back squat. They did give you a fighting chance. I mean, I did really bad on the strict press, but I was fortunate to have a pretty good squat and have a pretty good deadlift. You know, I think that's helpful for some people instead of just being like one lift. I do agree. I mean, this is a this is a big stage, okay? And only 10 ring muscle ups, only 20 pistols, only 45 handstand, and 150 double unders. One barbell under 95 pounds. I mean, at 95 pounds on any of the other workouts. We had 3 workouts that didn't even have a barbell. So, I mean, I remember AGOQ workouts having like 245 power cleans or cleans with pull ups and the shoulder to overhead workout muscle up that was brutal like in 17. So I mean, I don't think you can judge the workouts right now fully. You have to wait for the next round, you know? All right. So if it did its part by getting it to 30, this next round obviously needs to have some more high volume skill movements in it. Again, that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Jeb?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with those guys. You know, this is a big step. You know, and at the end of the day, I'm with Justin. Like, I always just I just do the workouts. I do always have an opinion on them. I like a heavy barbell in the workout. That's always kind of been my thing. So obviously, I lean more towards that. But I do feel like that needs to be in there at this stage, and definitely a highly skilled gymnastics movements and a lot of it, you know, to see really who's got it and who doesn't. But yeah, I'm honestly I'm with Justin on this. Like, we'll see what the next stage brings. But I do believe, just like the other guy said, that the right 30 people have made it through. Which at the end of the day, I feel like always happens. You know, so the top will always get to the top. So,
yeah. Steve, you're up next.
Yeah, I guess for me, just sitting and watching from the sidelines this year, and then seeing results now and some of the videos popping up. I know we'll probably talk about standards. But
yes, we will.
From what Bob is talking about, kind of watered down and not necessarily the most aggressive programming for these standards to not be hit. What happens when it does get harder, right? What happens when everyone needs to submit a video? And I think we're kind of seeing a glimpse of what the masters deal with for many years, and really since we've been with the video type qualifier historically. So again, I'm with the guys as far as programming. And to me, listen, here's the programming, do your best. But even as simple as some of the stuff was, it was still flawed with really bad standards from a lot of different people, which is shocking to me at this point.
Yeah, Clint, you're sitting in second place right now in your division, so I'm guessing you liked all the workouts.
Yeah, they're all right. I mean, I have the ones I like, and there wasn't a ton of them, but I'm with those guys. Like, whatever comes up comes up. But for me, like, the dumbest thing we did was running and rope climbs. Like, I'm not sure what that proves. So I mean,
it proves Tommy's really good at a workout.
Oh wait,
it seemed like a very odd workout. Like I did a version of the individuals minus the wall ball, so I'm like, it was okay, but it's just it is what it is, and they happen to favor for. I think what saved me was the strength. So a lot of guys in my bracket aren't that strong.
Well, their fault. Jen, how about you? 7th overall right now.
I felt to the guys. I mean, I personally didn't like the programming myself, but just for me personally, I feel like, okay, I got a heavy deadlift out of the way. My hamstrings don't like those. I got 150 calories of rowing out of the way. Still made it, through. Again, that's not my strength. Did it test the right people to get to the right spot. Probably for the most part, although I'm thinking of one person in particular who didn't make it through, again, because of that strength. Like the strength didn't have any skills to it. So that's the thing that it was annoying to me about the strength. The individuals got to do some pretty, more high skilled strength moves. And I feel like it's a little bit insulting to the masters to be like, okay, we gave the individuals a clean, a bench, and an overhead squat, but you guys are old, so you get to do a push, a deadlift, and a squat. That I feel like was not great, but it's gonna wind up hurting some people in some ways. But at least this round's done and over with, and for me, I feel like they've got to go more high skill and heavyweight in the next round, and that's kind of what they've had to do each time. We were kind of complaining about the open for the same reasons, and it was like, okay, well, they have to make it accessible to people and all these different things that they have to be able to accomplish. And then this level got a little bit more high skilled, and then the next one should get more high skilled again, et cetera, et cetera.
And finally, Tommy, who deserves a shout out here because he PR'd his CrossFit total. And as of now, Tommy, I do believe that you beat both Austin Malleolo and Dan Bailey in workout number 3.
Yeah, Sean, as the only person on this podcast north of 1,100 pounds in the total, allow me to come to the defense of the lift event for just a second here, as in defense of the big dummy lifts, because that is what I am. And secondly, as my second best workout of the 5 was also happened to be the running and rope climbs, I think it's very apparent that excelling in those didn't necessarily throw too much of a grenade on the leaderboard. And I will say the men's 45 to 49 division, some are calling it the hottest division on the planet right now. Not a single qualifier for semifinals finished in the top 10 of the lift. So, and there were a significant portion of athletes that finished outside of the top 50, which tells you that even despite it being a big dummy lift, some really smart people managed to make it through. So, for me, that it kind of touches on what Jen mentioned, is that these set of workouts were a little bit more approachable and maybe a little bit lower skill and loading wise than some, top tier games athletes with some podiums under their belts might want. That's totally understandable. I'm hoping we get that in the semifinals. And then as far as this as an intermediary step, I saw more people in my affiliate being willing to step up and give these workouts a try and reach new areas of their fitness, which is this weird kind of in-between spot where I think quarterfinals can start to flesh out a little bit. And I think you might see the skill and loading start to rise from year to year as we start to build a broader base of people that are more familiar competing beyond just the open. And then you can kind of crank it up again. But I will say 11-15, just saying.
Hey, we'll get a banner made for you, Tommy. You can hang it up.
I have a question. I have a question for both you guys, Sean and Tommy, and that would be like, do you think there's any money motivation on that too as well? Like, Tommy, you made a great point. Hey, affiliate athletes, hey, you know what? I can do these. Only 10 ring muscle ups. That's a possibility here. Hey, it's a lift. I'm really good at this. Mm-hmm. Again, do you think there's any motivation there financially for CrossFit?
I mean, I think that I think there's the motivation to get as many people to participate. So obviously, yes, I think that does translate into financial motivation. But one of their big, I think, things that they've wanted to do is expand the ability to compete to more people. And so I think what Tommy is talking about, like threading that needle of programming workouts that are challenging, that will throw up a barrier to some people, but it's not impassable. So by putting the muscle ups at the end, okay, well, I can get through the whole thing, and then I get there, maybe I get one. For someone who's not a super highly skilled athlete who's not looking to get into the semifinals, that is somewhat appealing because at least I can do all that work, and then hey, maybe I get my first, or maybe I can string a couple together. So there's got to be you have to find a way to challenge the best, which I think this did. So that those 10 are no problem for the highest skilled athletes. They will be able to rifle through those. Tommy, I think, did them unbroken.
No big deal.
But I think every workout had and this is the same thing with the open. There's always that part where everyone can play, and then it's okay. This is where everyone separates themselves, and that's why I think in the semifinals, and we can talk about what we expect to see in the semifinals. to Bob's point and some of the point that some of the you guys brought up as well, like not having a skill with the lift, I think that's something you're going to see in the semifinals because everybody can back squat, everybody can deadlift, everybody can press. We can all do that, but now you mix that with a skill, and maybe it's not as appealing. So yeah, to answer that's a long answer to your question, but I think they try to make it as accessible to as many people as possible.
And I want to build off of that real quick because I think there has to be some sort of money motivator right here. Because if you're going to genuinely make good on the promise of like building bigger and better and more opportunities for not just like everyday people, but like for literally everyone on this podcast besides me and Sean that has competed at a high level and could potentially earn more money, from the sport, or at least like making the experience better. Like that's going to cost money. And it's that teeter totter of like, all right, how do we fund the sport for the top athletes to make sure that being a top athlete holds its weight as far as experience and prize purse and stuff like that. And then how do we also make sure that serves the broader population of like, all my training partners at the gym were stoked about doing these tests and signed up for quarterfinals for the first time, despite, qualifying last year and just being kind of like, like that pours water into both buckets. They get the experience, the top athletes. There's going to hopefully be more funding in the long term. But I think there would kind of have to be. And I would hope that like, other athletes are encouraging people to participate.
Yeah, Tommy, it's interesting with the money thing. I'm all for CrossFit making more money, right? Like a rising tide lifts all boats. If they really want to make more money, they should charge per no rep, right? Based on some of the crap that we saw out there. I mean, I'm seriously contemplating doing like a sliding scale for Legends online qualifier this year, where it's like, all right, 10 no reps, you're paying me $100 because I have to look at your crap on video sideways, right? But it's this cross purposes, right? That CrossFit has to deal with. That they almost seem disinterested in, right? In like getting to the 10 best athletes that compete at the CrossFit Games per age group and programming for everybody. Like it's really difficult to do both things and end up with the right result at the end, because now, and I sent like crazy texts to these guys over the weekend about this. We're going into the semifinals. These guys are going to get 5 workouts. They're cutting from 30 down to 10, right? And there's a real possibility that, a really great athlete is going to miss the cut because, some weakness gets exposed just a little too much, right? And, and I don't know if that's the right way to go about it, right? I floated an idea, and stay with me on this one because it's slightly complicated, of rescoring the 30, right? So you take the 5 workouts, you rescore the 30 from the quarterfinals, and then have them do the 5 semifinal workouts, thus giving you 10 scores, all scored 1 to 30 to get the best 10, right? Because then I think you have a broader spectrum of fitness to look at, as opposed to like this isolated incident of 5 workouts that were not programmed super great, and then this isolated incident of workouts that may or may not be programmed really well. So what do you think about that?
It's interesting. I mean, they're not doing it for the individuals.
Yeah.
So
because the individuals go live, right?
Yeah,
so you think that the rescoring and adding that additional piece in helps buffer the fact that you're not doing it live, so it adds like sort of a fail safe.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, and doing it live is a game changer for the sole reason that, I mean, everybody has their judge that's the same. I could do a workout in my gym with a blindfold on. I know where everything is at. I mean, like there's no crowd there. There's no, everybody kind of, well, even though there's not many people in the stands for us, but
there is for me, Justin.
you don't have your coach right next to you telling you, okay, your row split was this, you're 10 seconds back. Your coach, you can't even see or hear them, all right, at a live event usually. So you do miss that element. So I haven't looked at Bob's matrix numbers yet, but it definitely sounds interesting.
Well, I mean, look, I don't know if he's the best example this year, right? But we've used him as an example in the past, Joel Hughes, right? Who has beaten all of us in live competition, right?
Oh, great.
And he's
Like
at risk. He's at real risk going into this next round of not making it to the games, where I think this is a guy that absolutely should be at the games based on his overall fitness level, year in, year out. And it's not like his strength is that far off, but I think, he could end up getting a 30th and knocking him out of position.
I'm curious. One, I kind of like that idea. I think in general that level of like maybe outside of the box thinking for new pathways to rescore and things like that is certainly welcome, and it's something that's needed. But I also think like where's the line for you in that regard, as far as like you use Joel as an example, for sometimes the way sport plays out, like there are breaks and things that roll your way. Like I think very much like Sean, a great example is Sean and I were talking before the NFL playoffs. None of us wanted to play the 49ers in the first round. I hate the 49ers. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. It is my biggest flaw as a human. And I knew if we played the Niners in the first round, despite the Cowboys being a higher seed, I thought an overall better team, just the matchup wasn't going to be great, and it wouldn't be indicative of where they could go, if they got a little bit of momentum. But that's just how it plays out sometimes. I think sometimes matchups don't always play out to your favor. And I do think CrossFit maybe has a little bit broader responsibility to kind of weed that out and let true fitness shine. But I'm always curious sometimes because, like, if you have a weakness that is as glaring to keep you out of even qualifying for the games at some point, I go back to 2014 and Sam Briggs and not being able to handstand walk. And she was the defending fittest woman on the planet. You couldn't tell me that she wouldn't show up to the games in 2014. I actually think she might have won in 2014 and beat Camille given the way the programming lined up. But she made a mistake and there was a slip up and she didn't get to go. And I actually would have been the biggest proponent for just making an exception and letting it go. But, that was kind of how the cookie crumbled, I guess.
No, for sure, man. And look, you can't safeguard against it completely. I'm not saying that CrossFit sucks because they don't do this, right?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I'm really just kind of saying, like, I think this is a way to make the sport better if they wanted to adopt this. It puts more value into each individual performance. Because, just even talking to Justin over the weekend, it's not like any of these guys that did this workout or going into this weekend, like, they all tried their asses off this weekend, right? Like, it was maximum effort that was put in because nobody wanted to risk being on the wrong side of the 30 cut line, So I think you just get a better chance to see 10 workouts, everyone going hardcore against 10 workouts than 5. That's what I'd rather.
I think there's a lot of variables though too. Maybe you're sick that weekend and you have to do the workouts, and now those scores affect you later down the line. So, I mean, again, I like the idea, and there's probably maybe there could be like a happy medium there, but I mean, there's no substitution for the live event, I mean, there's just not.
Yeah. Okay. So
were you a little sick, and that's why Kern?
No.
What happened?
You guys are
in a row. You said it. It's 150 cal row. I look at me. I got the alligator.
you guys are tied at the hip on the leaderboard, man.
I know, man. Something that's been brought up a lot here, and this is going to be an interesting conversation, but I'm curious as to what can be done about it, because it's not something that has just suddenly popped up here, especially in the Masters divisions. But because I can remember 5 years ago, 4 years ago during the age group online qualifier, seeing movement standards that just did not meet what the standards were supposed to be. So first of all, why does this keep happening, and how do we fix it? Because to me, it has got to start with the athletes themselves. The athletes and the coaches and the judges all have to hold themselves accountable. And for whatever reason, I don't know if coaches or judges in a gym are afraid to no rep their athletes. I don't know if people are watching their videos back and saying, man, that really didn't make it. I need to do it again. Or if just the penalties haven't been harsh enough for people to really pay that close attention to it. It's never going to be perfect, But why does it keep happening, and how do we make it better?
You just said it. The penalties are not harsh enough. If you throw them out, they will change.
Yeah. No, I think I'm with you. I think it's about. I don't ever want to see someone made an example of. I really don't. But I think that, Clint, I think you're right that at some point they got to drop the hammer and say, okay, we're doing all we can to give you as many rules and as many resources to make sure you do these correctly, and you're still not doing it. Sorry, you're out. And I agree with you. I think that would get some people's attention.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we have years of precedent, man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the big challenge is that, is this the year that they finally drop the hammer? And you're going to feel bad for the guys that the hammer got dropped on. But I mean, if you don't do it now, then when? Right? Like, what's the point in going on anymore with that?
I have a solution.
All right.
You have to go to a designated CrossFit affiliate gym to do the workout, and it's already set up. You come in and Jeb Simmons, you're here. Okay, come on in and put your camera here and get warmed up, and you're going to do the workout just like this. That's the only way I think that you can really, feel good about it in a way, because a lot of these people see you work so hard. I see members at my gym trying to get their first pull up, and they do the open, and their chin is or their chest is so close to the bar, but it doesn't touch. And rep them, and they're like, oh my God, I was there, but you weren't there, and these people want you to succeed. So, I mean, I think they get caught up in the moment, honestly. So you have to eliminate the emotion. And you have to go to some gym that has the registered judges there, and maybe there's a way to kind of pay those people that work the hours. But I think that's the only way. You have to sign up for slots, and that's how you go.
So then, how do you deal with the time slot scenario, right? Like where you have to have the scores in by in the next 24 hours. Do you eliminate that piece?
No, I mean, I think you can make it a little bit bigger, make it more time. You have to do 4 workouts instead of doing 2 workouts by the next day. It's 4 workouts by 2 days. And listen, if you want to make the push to go to the games, you have to make these sacrifices and make yourself available. I know people have jobs. I mean, I know people run a business. I'm running a business in the sport, so to speak. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I have a ton of responsibilities to clients and business aspects. But the reality is that if you want to make this, people are always like, oh, well, it doesn't work for my schedule. Hey, listen, you don't want it that bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And if you think about you never want to see the hammer get dropped on someone just in general. But, you think about the term, being made an example of. You're no longer an example if that becomes the standard after you, right? And that's the key. So if the hammer does get dropped and it sets a tone and it stays consistent, I don't think anyone would argue that.
Hey, I was I was on the bubble my first year and trying to get in. And so here's what I'll say is I know they're reviewing videos, and I know that they're docking athletes for bad reps, because that's how I got in 2016. But I do agree there's just too much of that going on across the board where they're not docking people enough. And that's what's creating the chaos. I mean, you see these half squats, you see pistols not getting below, the hip freeze getting below the knee. You're seeing all these things taking place, yet no one's getting penalized. And I think that's what's creating the issue. Hammer them, get people, use them as an example. Because it's people like me who got in because, again, the video was reviewed and burpees without 2 feet at the time, 2-foot takeoff, 2-foot landing, or what got me in because someone wasn't doing it. I'm passionate about this whole thing, and I've got plenty of videos I look at all the time. These guys saw a couple I found today, and it's not that hard to find these things. They're out there.
Yeah, I'm with Sean on this, but I believe it starts with the affiliate owners, the coaches, and then obviously the judges. It's not fun. I remember a few years back, my athlete now that's a Masters. She finished 43rd in the world this year in the 55, the 59. A few years back, I remember it being open. It was chest to bar pull-ups, and I had to no rep her over and over and over and it wasn't fun, right?
Yeah.
But I believe over the years, like coaches and affiliate owners become soft. They're like, oh, that's good enough. It's good enough. You know, I don't do it. You're at my gym. I hold you to the standard. You know, whether you're a CrossFit Games athlete or just someone there to work out, you're still going to perform the movements that I want you to, you know, to the standard of CrossFit. You know, the 2-foot takeoff over the bar. I mean, I think it's a constant battle, right? As a coach, as an affiliate owner, like I'm saying the same stuff over and over and over again to the same damn people, you know. And I think there's too many affiliate owners and coaches and now judges that just get tired of it and they're just like, oh, whatever, you know what I mean? And you got to stick to it. And it's like I've been doing this, my gym's in there for 10 years, and I'm still saying the same shit, but I'm going to continue to do it because I want people to represent my gym in a good way. So when they go somewhere else, they're going to be like, oh man, whoever your coach is knows the rules, knows the standards, and he makes sure you guys do them right. And we just had a small comp at a local gym up the road from us, and everybody that went there from my gym, that was like the biggest compliment that I can get, right? Like I love to see them podium do all that stuff, but more than anything, I love when they come back and they say, you know what, the judges say we were the easiest to judge because we did everything right and we didn't have to get yelled at and this and that. And that's the way it should be, you know? So I think it starts there and then works its way down.
You know, the other thing on top of like the actual, you know, movement quality, right, is the video quality too needs to be addressed, right? Like, you know, adhering to the camera angles is dictated by CrossFit, right? You know, the wearing all black bullshit has got to stop, right? Like that is just, you know, somebody shows up in all black, you know that they cannot do the movement right, you know? Like they just need to be a little bit more strict on that too and drop the hammer on that as well, right? Like we gave you requirements on how this needed to be set up. We drew out a diagram for you. We told you not to wear all black, although they haven't done that yet. But like, you know, in the future, if you do that, tough shit. Your video's out. See you next year.
No, I agree. And that's like the occasional depth here and there. Like, you know, like I get more upset at like the people who are knowingly, intentionally, like again.
Mike, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, Mike.
Really not what it should be. Like that's where I'm like.
I don't know if Mike can hear us, but Mike, we're having a hard time hearing you. If you can move closer to your microphone.
All right, it's all right. I got it.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that you know, I think the first step is the penalties have just got to be. And I know that, you know, it's funny because they have. I feel like they have been willing to sort of have a zero tolerance policy on a lot of other stuff. You know, like drug testing or not getting your score on time. Like that's a hard line right there. And I think that they're going to start having to, you know, start tossing people out, and it stinks because you don't want to see someone have to suffer that. But you know, as Jeb was saying, I think that we need to make as big a deal of maybe the penalties not being harsh enough to the judging on site. It sucks to no rep your friend. I remember Tommy no repping a friend of his and getting yelled at for it afterwards. Like that's happened. It sucks. It's not fun. But you're doing a bigger disservice to your athlete by letting him or her get away with not hitting depth or not, you know, meeting whatever standard than you are by letting him get away with it, because now you're opening that up to an interpretation and a judgment call by someone who has the power to get them out of the competition.
Yeah. And another thing is too, is that even out of the competition, just from the affiliate standpoint, you know, I mean, you have everybody does the open, right? You know, and then you just give them reps, the person who worked all year to get one pull up. And then the judge lets somebody do a chin over the bar pull up that they're counting as chest to bar pull ups. And this person gets a better score and you work your whole time. Now it's like that relationship between you and the coach. You have to be like, hey, listen, I know it wasn't a rep. You worked all. There's a lot of that goes on. People put a lot of time into this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to. It is going to suck, but something's got to happen. If we want to keep this sport legit, which everybody does, it's got to start now. Like it's got to be done.
Yeah, well, nothing's official yet, and I mean, I know CrossFit has asked for all my videos, all right, so far, so I mean, and I know pretty much the same for all you other guys. They've been requested for all these videos, so we'll see what happens.
Jen, what's your process? Like what from the beginning of setting everything up to then going through the workout and then afterwards to make sure that you're submitting a legit score? What are the things that you do to make sure that happens?
On any given workout, you mean, like video
Or one
wise?
for quarterfinals when you know that this matters.
Well, I would say, I'm fortunate in that there's another woman that went to the games last year from my gym as well, and she's doing quite well. So kind of we're in it together, and that she's looking at the floor plan, so I have someone to kind of double check me, if you will. So I think that helps. But so basically, I start off. I make sure that I know what the workout is. Sometimes I want to stick my head in the sand and pretend like I don't know what it is, of course. But then look at the floor plan, make sure that, okay, like for the rope climb, for example, it was our ropes are outside. And so I set up the camera on the side, and then I was looking at like the sun and where it was going to be in my eyes, jumping onto the rope. And I was like, oh, no, I want to go to the other side. And so I didn't move the camera to the correct side because it says, camera's supposed to be on this side or optional camera on the other side. And so luckily I had somebody there to catch that for me. And I don't know if that would have been a huge deal if I had the camera at the wrong side angle or not. But I have somebody there to double check me because I still get nervous, for all these workouts. So I find it very helpful to have somebody to sort of double check me and make sure that I'm getting things set up right and all that. And then as far as getting it submitted and everything afterwards, I have a reminder on my calendar, and my sister usually texts me, did you submit your workout? Like just to make sure, because life gets so busy. I've known people that have forgotten to submit scores, and I swear that's going to happen to me someday if I'm not careful, because I could just get caught up in like, oh yay, I finished the workout, and then all of a sudden it's 3:02 and Eastern time, and I forgot to submit it or something like that. So I do worry about that, but like I said, I put a reminder in my phone, and then I usually send the link to my sister and say, hey, just want to make sure that this link works and that you can see the video, okay? And then she looks at it. I mean, I kind of double check and triple check everything, to be honest. But it's work.
See, and I think that's the thing, is like that's a level of responsibility I think you need to have if you're serious about this. Masters want more ability, to more opportunities to compete. They want to make sure they're getting the right people through. They want to have their side of things taken seriously. And I think sometimes the personal responsibility is sort of just shirked. Like I just don't know how. Like some of the stuff I'm seeing, I just don't know how that gets by. You need a judge. Like you got to have someone there calling on your stuff, and then if you're not, you need to watch it and you need to hold yourself accountable. And
well,
so
I think that's the key.
Yeah,
I mean, most people know if they're going low enough. I mean.
Well, I've had times where I've been working out and I've seen it, like for whatever's caught on video. I'm like, oh man, I did not hit that. Like right. I thought I did, but then don't have that thought and be like, I'll get by with it. It'd be good enough. That's the problem, I think.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is like we got an interesting comment from PJ Rowing when he mentioned about like some athletes, having like preferred judges, things like that. Like you have the athletes that are maybe going to be more lenient, and maybe that there has to be some heavier handed penalties for judges as well. Like if you're a judge that does not do your job right, and there's a ton of no reps and a bunch of stuff piled up, like there has to be maybe ramifications for that as well, just to prevent favoritism and things like that. Because a lot of times, especially if you're a games athlete or you're someone that's well known in your gym, like some people are afraid to no rep people. Some people just end up like, hey, yeah, like they see a pair of game shorts and they're like, oh yeah, okay, like I'm just going to check the box here and let it go. So there's some professionalism that I think can happen on the end of the judges' side as well. And maybe, like with Justin's suggestion, you have, you start to build a deeper pool of what are preferred judges that have either live competition experience or have continually, had their names signed off on people that didn't have, standards issues and things like that. But that might be a little bit more slow rolling as more money and manpower comes into play. But I think we've got to start thinking about it from all different angles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, as we move now into the semifinals, and I believe just about everybody on this screen, well, not ever, just about a good portion of people on the screen are going to be competing in those. What do you expect to see now? And we don't know how many tests. Maybe there's 5, maybe there's 6. But what do you think needs to be addressed now in order to make sure that we are getting the right 10 people to the CrossFit Games?
Need to
like
bench.
Bob said before.
We'll let Jen start. Go ahead, Jen.
I think I still have the barbell. So I think a workout that has the extra barbell in it and or a lift, I think we're talking about, and then the pretty high skill stuff, either a higher number of reps on muscle ups or throw in bar muscle ups along with the bar, some things like that I sort of expect. It wouldn't be surprising, for them to throw in sort of things. Now is the where that stuff will come.
Yeah. Jen, you're breaking up a little bit, but I think we got the gist of that. Yeah, I agree with
That
that.
never happens.
Yeah. So more heights. So if you're going to have muscle ups in this, you're not going to put them at the end. If you're going to have maybe a heavier barbell for reps, like she said, maybe a more highly skilled things like handstand walking that are not shoved at the end, so the best get there and then able to excel, but so that everybody is going to have to deal with them in the middle of the workout. That. What else? Bob's back.
Yeah, I mean, I just thinking games last year, programming from games last year. We had to do 34 bar muscle ups, okay, in one workout. That was, had the ski erg and then we had to do double unders, 300 of them on the turf. Talk about high skill, okay. But the volume, we did legless rope climbs, 30 wall walks. So I mean, we did a 1RM Olympic lift, no Olympic lift this round. So I mean, I think you have to test everything. And I wouldn't be surprised. I know somebody said there'll be 5 workouts, but I mean, this is the next round. They probably assume people are more serious. 6 rounds or 7 scores, I could see that. I mean, I could see 2. I could see like, hey, 2 workouts a day, because if you go to games, you're going to have to do 2 workouts a day. You go to Wadapalooza, you're going to do 2 workouts a day. So I could see more scores for sure.
Yeah, why'd you mention the third best competition? I don't understand. You just kind of. I mean, you brought up 2 and 3. You brought up 2 and 3, but you didn't bring up number 1. I don't understand.
The Santa Cruz Affiliate Cup? Is that what you're talking about?
MFC.
No.
Real well in the text messages.
Shots fired.
Ouch.
I'd be curious to hear what you guys' thoughts. I don't know if it gets talked about as much as a singular element, but like programmed interference with workouts. Like, obviously I'm nowhere near the level that you guys are at, but I felt like there wasn't a ton of interference in this particular weekend per se. I wasn't overly like sore in one direction. I didn't feel like any one thing inhibited my ability to do anything else. Do you feel like that is a hallmark of what should be present in something like a higher level competition like semifinals or games, or hey, you're going to have to be a little banged up, or you're going to have to, maybe make a business decision on a few things right here because, the muscle fatigue and stuff like that is going to pile up?
I was sore after the chipper.
Yeah, I mean, I was generally sore, but nothing after like a humongous greatest competition of all time legends. There you go. That's as sore as I was.
Well, but to Tommy's point, right? Like,
it's a great point.
When you're programming an event, you want to think about how each event impacts the performance in the next event, right? And I think that should absolutely be. It needs to be thought about, right? I mean, I think about it every time. It's like, all right, I want to tax this area, and then when this movement shows up later, people are going to be really fucking shocked that they're not as strong as they thought they were, or they don't have the capacity they thought they did, right? And I think that's a huge part of fitness, because it gets people to react on the fly. And these guys that are, multiple time podium athletes at the games, like they know how to do that better than everybody else. And that's a skill that is that doesn't show up when you do a workout in your home gym, on video.
Mike, you had something?
I was going to say, in terms of the interference, nothing with this past quarterfinals. Like, I'm thinking back to last year's, the one with the 150 pistols or whatever. When that was out as one of the workouts, I was like, I got to get as many of these other ones in before I do that. Because I knew that one, I was like, my core is going to be crippled, and it was. So I expect something like, something more high volume or more stuff that's really going to tax you. On the next round. Like, I think it's going to be like a watered down games version.
Do you think that they're going to, do you expect them? Because I don't think they should, but I don't know what the rules are going to be, if they're going to release all 5 or 6 or however many at the same time. My thought on this is that they should release the first 2. And then once that window closes, release the next 2 and then release the next 2 or the next 1. Because I think that prevents people from really gaming it.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do them in somewhat of order so that the interference that you are talking about can fully manifest itself. I don't know if they will, but that would be my preference.
I like that
I always
idea.
agree with that, Sean, just because I feel like that's old school CrossFit. That's the way CrossFit is always should have been or should be. So I agree with you on that.
I hate sending out the workout for the week. I send the workouts for the week, for the whole week to the members. I hate that. Come in on a day you want to train and do what's on the board, But, I'm with Jeb.
Prevents Kern from gaming the system, which
I mean,
that's the thing. It's like that, to your point, Bob, about not exposing, either overexposing a weakness or not exposing a weakness. People can hide from that in the way that they do the order. Everyone's going to probably do the max lift first.
Yeah, we all did.
Get that out of the way. Like, but what if you do that 5th?
I actually did it 3rd. Funny enough, but just interesting. I think there's also, like you said, there's just that element of sports, right? That sometimes you just have to step up to the plate and process in real time, like what you have to do. Like you go to any other high level sport, what separates a lot of the best athletes in sport is their ability to intake information and output high level performance regardless of the dynamic environment. And you get that at the games. That's always what's so impressive. When we get to the games, we get to see like some of the workout announcements and things like that. And I think it's one of the ways you quantify the term like athletic, right? It's like hard to quantify that sometimes. But I think in this sport, hiding programming and then forcing people to almost perform on command is how we're able to account for that kind of moldability, if you will.
Yeah. Well, and you can never duplicate the feeling and the intensity of being out on the turf at the CrossFit Games. Like, I can't describe to people what 88 degrees in Madison, Wisconsin feels like on that fucking turf the first time you get out there, right? Like, it hits you in the face like nothing else. And that's part of the sport, right? And people either rise to the occasion or they crumble. I mean, it'd be interesting, Justin and Mike and Jen, how did you guys do on the double under on the turf workout last year? You remember?
Not great.
Well, not great
like
relative to what you expected. You came in 7th?
7th or 9th. Yeah.
What did you get, Justin?
I think I was in 3rd or 4th.
Okay. That ruins my theory.
That was a really good workout for me without being on turf, I mean, it was high volume muscle up and high volume double under with I think the ski was the same every round.
Yeah.
And I tripped up like more times like it was the first time I picked up a rope.
Yeah.
Bob, I had a broken hand, remember? Come on.
Yeah. Got to build in the excuses again.
Yeah, there you go. Let's recycle that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but Tommy, like you're saying, like being able to adapt on the fly, and a lot of it too is mental toughness, right? Like when someone throws something at you, do you have the mental toughness to take it on, figure it out? You know what I mean? Because some people don't have that. I talk about it a lot at my gym about being mentally tough. So I think that's huge.
It's why I was the best at drinking games in college. Didn't matter the rules said. I just show up and go.
Yeah.
Well, if there's not anything else that we want to talk about, we'll wrap this thing up. And I really appreciate everybody taking the time to do this. And congratulations to everybody who's moving on. You guys, phenomenal performances. And can't wait to see what semifinals bring.
Awesome. Thanks, man. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, guys.
Best of luck.